Good morning, everyone, and happy Black Friday. Let's go ahead and dive right in because we are on a schedule here. And with your permission, I'll take questions at the end to make sure we allow ourselves enough time to get through the PowerPoint slides. So welcome to How to Read Market Direction Instantly with this one free tool. Before we get started, I thought I'd post a funny photo. This is what I was talking to you about, Jeanette. So this is the photo my daughter shared with me that I thought was pretty funny. I think this describes Black Friday better than a lot of things, and that is the corgi freaking out there, trying to escape Black Friday there. So that was circulated on my daughter's cell phone group. Again, it's a pretty funny photo. Okay, welcome everyone. My background is in the hedge fund space for about 20 years. I've been the senior strategy developer for 2 award-winning hedge funds and have been blessed to have a lot of good partners in the hedge fund space over the years. My background is primarily quant side of things, focusing on indicators and strategies based on quantitative charts and things like that. I've also been a speaker at various events, including Bloomberg international events and Traders Expos and whatnot in the States as well. So that is my background. And like Jeanette said, I always think it's important to cover the risk disclaimers. Trading involves a high level of risk and is therefore not suitable for all traders. Before deciding to trade, you should carefully consider your trading objectives, level of experience, and ability to tolerate risk. Also, CFTC Rule 4.41 says hypothetical or simulated performance results have certain limitations. Unlike an actual performance record, simulated results do not represent actual trading. So that is important because I'm going to show you some hypothetical examples today. Now, this whole concept I'm going to show you is actually almost an accident. So I'm always tinkering, trying to find new ways to trade the markets. I'm trying to find an edge, always trying to find indicators that are going to give me an advantage trading. And I started doing experimentation on some of the market internals. And so I started sharing my results with my followers, and then I had a lot of them say, "Hey, when are you gonna let when are you gonna have this available for everybody and show us how this works and everything else?" So this really just started as my research, and it was really interesting and really surprising. I'll show you where I was very surprised by the results of this, but a really cool, powerful tool. So without hesitation, let's go ahead and dive into it. Trying to figure out what direction to trade stocks is one of the biggest challenges for traders and investors. We can analyze price charts, PE ratios, and economic numbers to figure out the direction of stocks. For traders, making money in stocks is about finding the hidden clues to give us an edge over the markets. And this poses the question, but what if we could know what all the other traders in the stock market are doing outside of ourselves, outside of our own charts and things like that? When the majority of traders are buyers, then we would turn to buy ourselves, or when the majority of traders are sellers, then we would sell, jumping on the side of the strongest force, if you will, in the market. Big up moves in stocks are always led by strong buying. The most powerful sentiment is not what traders are thinking, but what traders are actually doing. Unfortunately, we can't see the research of the other traders in the markets, but we do know that the stock market moves higher when there are more buyers. And I know I'm stating the obvious here, so follow me on this because I'll show you something I'm pretty sure, well, I would guarantee you haven't seen before unless you've been to my webinars. And we also know that the stock market moves lower when there are more sellers out there. And it poses the question, if only there was a way we could see in real time what all the other traders and investors are doing. Interestingly, the New York Stock Exchange created a way for us to see what all the traders and investors on the New York Stock Exchange are doing. This is a photograph of the New York Stock Exchange, or the NYSE, as some people call it. The average daily volume on the New York Stock Exchange typically ranges between 2 to 6 billion shares. Every day, the New York Stock Exchange, or NYSE, has approximately $200 billion of trading volume. The trading on the NYSE often sets the tone for the entire stock market. The NYSE created a powerful tool for us to see what all the other traders and investors are doing in real time. It's called the NYSE TICK, a valuable measure of short-term stock market trading activity. Now, let me talk about the very specifics. This is important to understand. So every market you trade, every stock out there you trade is going to have what's called a bid-ask spread. Okay, it's never the same price. So the ask price is the best or lowest price of the sellers out there that they're willing to sell stock for a particular market. So in this example, out of all the sellers that are listing their prices, the best or the lowest ask price from a seller is at 102.50. The highest bid price, or the highest price from the buyers, known as the bid, is the best bidding price, if you will. So it's important to understand what it is, all right, and how this factors into it. So common sense, I know a lot of you are going to say I already knew this, but follow me on this because this leads somewhere. So this is always going to be the case for any market. You always have what's called a bid-ask spread, and the NYSE TICK now is a measure of what I'll call engaged buyers or engaged sellers. So what it's measuring is, it's measuring what's called an uptick or a downtick. In this case, it's an uptick, and this is where the buyer says, I'm not going to wait for the sellers or somebody to come down and pay or sell at my price. I'm going to go ahead and buy and take action and hit the ask price. So that's what I call engaged buying activity, and this is what the NYSE TICK is measuring. So that is half of it, measuring what we'll call active buyers that actually hit the ask price in the market. The other side of the equation is looking for active sellers, and that's when the seller will actually sell and go down to the bid price. All right, so they're not waiting for somebody to pay the ask price that they're offering. They're actually motivated to sell their stock and hit whatever bid price is out there. So this is what we'll call downticks. So the NYSE TICK shows us in real time the net number of upticks, well, motivated buyers or engaged buyers, minus downticks, motivated sellers or engaged sellers on the New York Stock Exchange. So this is what the tool looks like for the, that you'll see on most charts. Okay, so this is on the very bottom of my chart. You'll see, I'm going to circle this. This is called the NYSE TICK. Now, some of you will correct me if I call this an indicator. It's actually not an indicator. It can be referred to as an index, or it's a reading at any given time of the net between the upticks and downticks, or we'll call the engaged buying or engaged selling for a market. And in this case, I've got a 5-minute chart of the SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF on top, and then I have a 5-minute TICK, NYSE TICK chart on the bottom. And the theory here is that I've got a line going right down the middle here. It's a little white line. Anything above that tells us that there's actually more buyers, right? Currently on the New York Stock Exchange. This is across the board buying activity on the New York Stock Exchange. If it's below, any readings below the zero line tell us that there is more selling, and more engaged or motivated sellers. So it's a net measure. It's the engaged buyers or the upticks minus the downticks. Now, a lot of people have actually labeled their NYSE TICK with some reference lines. Let me go over those fairly quickly. Now, this is an index, or we'll call a tool that's available on every platform that I know of out there. I think you just have to subscribe to the data. But essentially, the zero line in the middle is going to be what we call the neutral line. So if the NYSE TICK is registering zero, it means that they're balanced. We're seeing the same amount of upticks and downticks, or the buying and the selling power is approximately the same. Above that, you'll notice that there's an upper yellow line here at the top. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and circle this right here. This is at plus 600, and this is where people will generally consider heavy buying activity taking place for any NYSE TICK measures that go in the plus 600 level. And then below that, you'll see the bottom yellow is minus 600, and that's the what we'll call heavy selling happening to the downside. So these are reference levels for the NYSE TICK. And then at the very top, we have extreme buying, that's plus 1,000, and then extreme selling down at the bottom at minus 1,000. So don't worry about these valuation levels. These are just reference levels that some people use to trade with, and they use to measure, really strong buying or really strong selling, or extreme cases where it may be, something really unusual happening. So the way we look at this, okay, is that if you have a 5-minute, this is actually a 3-minute chart of the S&P 500, the SPY ETF. you'll notice that I've circled here in the red box a lot of the NYSE tick bars that are occurring below the zero line and down to the lower yellow line, which is that's strong selling. Okay, so what we're looking for as a trader is we're looking for a situation where we have a lot of readings happening either in negative territory or positive territory. So in this particular case, when we have all that selling happening on the bottom here, you know, between the zero line and the lower yellow line, which is positioned at negative 600, that's telling us that a lot of broad-based selling is happening, engaged or motivated selling on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, the idea here is when you see that, if you're looking to sell based on this tool, then what you want to consider doing is when you see a value of negative 600, that's heavy selling, then wait for a bounce back, you know, it reduces our risk and gives us a more strategic entry, and then you want to sell short or buy a put option. And then you see how that works, another value, negative 600, wait for the bounce back on the index, and again, you're selling short. And then you're hopefully taking advantage of a continued sell-off. Again, we've got a value of negative 600, a bounce back to zero, and then you've got another more strategic entry level for your short. So that's one way to trade this. And then you'll see over here in the last third of my chart, we all of a sudden have a negative 600, and then it shoots right up to positive 600, and then it starts really oscillating right around zero. So this is more neutral on the right-hand side, but we're looking for an imbalance here of broad-based engaged selling or engaged buying. So the opposite situation is when we see sustained buying happening according to the NYSE tick. Now, two things to point out here. I wanted to show you this yellow box over here where we have a huge gap in prices. You want to ignore that. With the NYSE tick, if you see a gap in the market and extreme bars to start off a trading session, essentially you need to give the market a few minutes to kind of normalize and to start, you know, getting normal readings, if you will. So that those first extreme NYSE tick readings, when you have a gapping market, ignore those, generally speaking. Now, after that, I've circled in the green box here a lot of buying activity that's plus north of the white line and going up to, we'll call the heavy buying plus 600 yellow line here. So the opposite situation, just as what I showed you here a second ago with the selling example, we wait for a value of plus 600 and then a correction down to zero, and then we time our buy entry. Same thing over here, plus 600, strong buying, correct back down to zero. This is a 3-minute chart, very short term here, and then we want to buy. Now, I'm going to show you in a second. You may say, well, Mark, I'm not a day trader, or I already know about this. I'm going to show you where this goes. This is going somewhere, all right? And then we'll see the third example here. We have plus 600, then it goes down to the zero line, and then we have another buying opportunity as well. And in general, with all of these bars that are in the, call it the positive territory on the NYSE tick, you can see that prices are actually going higher. So it actually does a pretty good job of predicting where prices are going and can be a useful tool when you trade. Now, the one downside of this is that you have to read it. It's kind of subjective. So you have to look at the indicator, or I'll say the index here, the NYSE tick, and notice that a lot of bars are sustained, you know, going in a positive territory and negative territory, and then use that, you know, for your trading signals and use that in the context of a trading strategy. Now, let me quickly talk about extreme buying, extreme points where we get a negative 1,000 or positive 1,000 value in the NYSE tick. Now, let me be the first to say I'm not a huge fan of this strategy. I just don't think a lot of times I don't think it's good enough to trade with. But let me tell you how it works. So the theory is when you get extreme values of the NYSE tick, let's say on the 3-minute chart here, then a lot of people think, well, this is an extreme reading and likely to bounce back. And in this particular case, it does. If you wanted to trade something like this, you could use a simple breakout. Like when you see the selling kind of reaches a feverish pitch here in the chart, we have lower high, lower high, lower high, and then we finally have this first bar that breaks above the previous high. You could use that as your signal, as one idea, and then trade a very short-lived bounce if you want to do that. Again, if you say, Mark, I'm not a day trader, I trade options, I'm going to show you where this is going, because this is going somewhere that's really interesting and really surprising. I'll tell you in a second here. Here's another example. Actually, that's one example. I took out the other one for time's sake. But the idea here is that many people consider the NYSE tick to be the most powerful sentiment indicator for the stock market. I actually agree with that, because it's not just what people are thinking, but it's actually what people are doing. And it's not only that, it's motivated or engaged buying or engaged selling, the net difference telling us what is stronger, the buyer or the sellers. Now, with time and practice, you can learn to read the NYSE tick indicator. It can give you an edge about where the stock market is heading intraday. Now, here's the drawback in my experience. It can be difficult to interpret the NYSE tick at times. It is possible, or actually, I had to ask the question, that because it is difficult sometimes, it's almost like an EKG of the market, and it can be very noisy looking at times. I put the question out there, is it possible that there's a better way to use the NYSE tick index data? Not just the way they give it to us, but maybe there's a better way for us to translate this. Okay, so this set me on one of my research projects, and this is where this, came up with this this very interesting way of using this data. By knowing in real time if there are more buyers or more sellers, I had to ask the question, can we use this inside information about buyers and sellers to create a powerful trading strategy? We know that many traders read the NYSE tick to find short-term intraday trading opportunities. But what if there was a way for us to use this in the confines of a trading strategy? When there are more sustained buyers, then we would have our strategy generate a buy signal. We're measuring across the board buyers or sellers. When there are more sustained sellers, then we look to sell with a sell signal. So I decided to research if the NYSE tick indicator held hidden clues about the direction of the stock market. And when I say that, I'm saying not only the noise that we see that I showed you in the NYSE tick chart, but something that we can read, something that we can say, yes, there's more buying or more selling, and that's a lot more quantifiable. So I'm not a big gray area guy. In fact, I hate gray area. Whenever I hear a commentator on CNBC or MSNBC and they're gray area-ish, I just turn the channel because it's useless information in my opinion. I'm a big black and white guy. It's either here's your opinion, stocks are going up, stocks are going down, or markets are going up and down. So I wanted to take this NYSE data, which I thought kind of was noisy sometimes, and see if we could create an indicator or a strategy that allows us to actually generate a buy and sell signal that we can actually see on our charts. So my experience told me that the NYSE tick was good for more than minute-by-minute intraday trading intel. I wanted to see if the NYSE tick held important clues to significant shifts in buying and selling in the stock market. Deciphering the hidden clues in the NYSE tick was an intriguing challenge to me. So I've spent the last 20 years developing trading strategies for hedge funds. So I decided to research the hidden clues buried in the NYSE tick. The advantage is to trade in the same direction as the majority of the traders, the stronger of the traders, whether it's the buyers or the sellers, jumping on the side of the majority of the traders as part of a trading strategy. So I needed to ask these two questions. First of all, can we measure sustained buying or selling in the NYSE tick and make it so that we can actually see what's happening, more than the noise we see kind of with the EKG price action? Number two, can we create a trading signal from this, where it's actually a buy signal or a sell signal? So let me address the first question, and that is, can we measure sustained buying or selling in the NYSE tick? Now, I showed you examples of earlier where we can eyeball it. We can look at it and say, okay, we've got values north of zero, right? In general, it looks like there's stronger buying. Looks like there's more buying across the board on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, here's the thing, what some of you are thinking is, why the NYSE? Well, there's also the NASDAQ, there's NASDAQ internals, there's other internals out there. I have observed, and with my research so far, that the NYSE really is the best one. And it tends to be the cornerstone of the stock market. So that's why I use that. So again, the question, can we measure sustained buying or selling on the NYSE? After many hours of testing the NYSE tick, I discovered that shifts in buying and selling often preceded major moves. Every major up move in stocks has one thing in common over time. If you go back over the years, the buyers were stronger than the sellers. Now, this is common sense stuff, right? But can we see that? Can we actually get the data that tells us that the buyers are stronger than sellers? Every major down move in stocks has also one thing in common. The sellers were stronger than the buyers. So here's what I did. I took this, and by the way, I'll get to questions here in just a minute, guys. I want to make sure I get through all the slides because we do have a limited amount of time, I do, with this presentation today. So here's the NYSE tick. It's this orange middle indicator. And if you're like me, I look at this thing and say, okay, I could probably look at it really sometimes and see, stronger buying shorter term, and maybe that can help me buy intraday, or I can see stronger selling. So what I did is I actually took this information and I translated this into the bottom indicator and created what I call a top tick tracker. Now my website is Top Trade Tools, so I use top to lead off my tools, just label them on people's indicator libraries. But top tick tracker now is aggregating. We're looking for sustained buying and sustained selling. And this is on a 5-minute chart. So this is not for 5-minute trading though. This is for something longer term. It's trying to find whether there's hidden clues in this orange data, this EKG, NYSE tick data, that is more useful to us. And now you can see the tick tracker. I color it red when there's more sustained buying or selling, in the first part of my chart, and then I color it green when there's more sustained buying. So now we have a way to take this great information and then create a tool that turns red and green and tells us when there's the buying stronger over a more sustained period of time. And what I've noticed is if you look at every major move in history, it pretty much has one thing in common, and that is the buyers are stronger. Every major up move you see that has the buyers are stronger on the New York Stock Exchange. Every major down move in history, you see the same thing. The sellers are stronger. All right, so this is really, really powerful clues or information for us to use in our trading. Now, all the indicators I've ever created in my career have to do with generating information straight from the price chart at the top. This is the first indicator that I've really researched that does not have anything to do directly with that market. So this is a SPY in a 5-minute chart. The tick tracker at the bottom is not getting any information from the SPY at the top. It's getting all its information from the NYSE tick data. That's the uptick and downtick, or the engaged buying and selling on the New York Stock Exchange. All right, so I created, as I just showed you, a indicator to measure sustained buying and sustained selling in the NYSE tick called the top tick tracker. So you see here again how to translate that. Super simple. Red means sellers are stronger over a sustained period of time. Green means buyers are stronger. Okay, so this is step number one. This is interesting to me. Now, can we take, so we can now measure sustained buying and selling in the NYSE tick. So we've answered question number one. Can we measure sustained buying and selling in the NYSE tick? And the answer is yes, you can. And we can take this noisy indicator and now make sense of it. Number two is, can we create trading signals using this information? So that was my second aspect, or second challenge, if you will, of this research. So I created some simple rules for a NYSE tick-based trading strategy. Very, very simple, right? So rule number one, buy when the buyers are stronger, and it's green. Rule number two, sell short or exit your long when the sellers are stronger, when this is red. That's it. That's how simple this is, okay? So I wanted to see if we could actually make money following these rules over time. So I made it easy, as easy as green buy. When you look at the indicator, I made it as easy as green buy and red sell. But I had to ask the question, can making money trading stocks be as simple as jumping on the side of buyers when they are stronger, or jumping on the side of sellers when they're stronger? So I decided to run some tests with the new Tick Trader. I'll call it Tick Trader. I'll show you what I'm using in a second. Same information, strategy using hedge fund backtesting technology. I decided to use 5-minute price bars to track buying and selling activity within the NYSE tick, getting powerful stock market information about shifts in strength between buyers and sellers. So I did some research. I discovered from optimizing the best period to track sentiment shifts to make trades with. So I went and researched this, and what's interesting is one of the best time frames was 20 hours. So when you look at 20-hour shifts on the 5-minute charts, you aggregate all those together, that led actually to some pretty darn good trading signals. And I created a simple color bars trading strategy called the Top Tick Trader. So let me show you the results here, and this is what really surprised me. I wasn't expecting a lot here. So here are the results for this SPY, and here's what I'm doing. Really, really simple here. So when my top tick tracker at the very bottom is green, then I simply color my price bars on the very top green. That's all I'm doing. When the top tick tracker turns red, then I'm coloring my price bars at the top, or just so I can read it on my bar chart. I color those red, making it super, super simple. All right, and here's how the strategy triggers. Green bar is buy, my first green bar is a buy, and my first red bar is a sell. Okay, that's it. So I'm either selling short or I'm buying and exiting. You can do it one of two ways, depending on whether you sell short or not. And it's based on the 20-hour aggregation of the NYSE tick information that you see, kind of this noisy orange EKG in the middle. That's, in my opinion, a little bit challenging to read. So here are the results. I went back for 12 months on the SPY using those really, really simple rules, and here are the results. So trading 100 shares over the past 12 months using called the 20-hour setting would have made a profit of approximately $9,000, or I'm sorry, $97.82. What's really interesting to me is how smooth the equity curve was. That's a really nice looking equity curve. And that always is one of the things I look at whenever I'm developing a strategy. So this is very positive results, but I had to ask the question, okay, great, last 12 months, how did it do over the last 24 months? So I went ahead and tested that. And interestingly enough, it was up 16,000. So it did really well. This is not optimizing the 24 months using the same 20-hour rule. It actually made more money over the last 24 months. So I said, well, what about the last 36 months? And the last 36 months even made more money. So that was up $18,436, doing nothing but buying green bars and selling short with red bars. That's it. That was the entire strategy. And what was really interesting is we're using what we call validated sentiment on the floor or on the exchange, New York Stock Exchange, to govern or to drive our buy and sell signals. So this was incredibly, really, actually, I have to say, a little surprising to me and really encouraging. But I had to ask the question, what about other stock indexes? Does this just work with the SPY, or does it work with DIA, for example? So I decided, let's go ahead and test some of the other ones. So here are the results for the past 36 months in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Really surprising, again, to me, that it did extremely well. I mean, it made a really good strategy. Again, no optimizing between markets, using the same 20-hour period. And this information, again, is not derived from the DIA, Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's derived from all of the buying and selling activity, we'll call it engaged or motivated buyers and sellers, upticks and downticks, from the New York Stock Exchange aggregated over a 20-hour period. So it made $17,580 over the past 36 months. And even more important than that, the equity curve looked really nice. Well, what about the QQQ? We're great on the SPY. We're great on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So I tested this for the past 36 months on QQQ, and you'll see it was up 12,925. Really interesting. All right, so that was really interesting, exciting to me. I'm thinking this is great because all this is going to do is make my other, strategy signals stronger. I decided to also test IWM, the small caps, and I think this one actually did the worst, but still profitable. Still made $7,000 over 36 months. But I think it worked a lot better on the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and QQQ. Best ones, I think, were S&P 500 and Dow Jones, but still profitable, again, by $7,000 on the IWN. Now, the top tick trader put up great results with stock indices. Now, here's a really weird question. What about individual stocks? Could you use this information to actually generate a buy and sell signal on some individual stocks? And I have to tell you, I wasn't expecting much here at all. We do know there's a correlation there, but can you really use this information as a trading strategy to trade individual stocks? So can we use the powerful NYSE tick information to trade individual stocks? So let's do some testing here. So trading individual stocks with the top tick trader. Here's the first results with Amazon. Again, as simple as no optimizing, using the same 20-hour settings, green bar buy, red bar sell, going back for 3 years. And I'm taking, again, just to clarify, all this information from this orange NYSE tick index down here. I'm translating that into a red color or a green color, and we're using that to drive our buy and sell signals. So I was really surprised by the results on this. Past 36 months for Amazon, made $217,000 trading 100 shares. And you can see the equity curve was really, really nice. So I was actually really surprised by that. Was not expecting it to work well. What about other stocks? Let's try Netflix, for example. So Netflix, again, I was surprised. Netflix over the past 36 months made $53,905. Still looked really good. I'm going to go ahead and fly through these just because we don't have a ton of time here. What about Google? Google made $90,000. You can see the equity curve here over the past 36 months. Still did really good. First part of the equity curve was up and down a little bit, but then it really took off, and the net results were fairly good. What about Facebook? Ran a test on Facebook here. Facebook was up $16,975. Really, really good still. Very, very strong results. Same settings, same rules. I'm buying when I have a green bar, selling short when I have a red bar. What about Chipotle Mexican Grill? Something totally different, right? That we wouldn't expect to have good results from. Believe it or not, even with Chipotle, had great results, $73,000 in profits over the past 36 months. So still very, very strong. What about JP Morgan, financial stock? Again, I'm just kind of blowing through some stocks here, sharing my research. This was up $8,444. Still a really nice equity curve here for JP Morgan. Just a few more. This is Pfizer. What about a medical stock or a pharmaceutical stock? Pfizer is up 3,200. It's a lower price stock, so not really surprising there, but great equity curve. And then here's one with FXI. That's China large cap. And I didn't think of the results here were very good, but that's not surprising. It's not not necessarily tracking American stocks per se, right? It's China large cap. This was still profitable by $1,902, but I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't think the results for this or the effectiveness of our strategy was very good. So the top tick trader proved to perform well with trading in some individual stocks. Now I would tell you it's not for all individual stocks. There are some stocks that don't necessarily work out there. And I had to ask the question now. We answered, can we use this information to trade stock indices like the S&P 500 and Dow Jones? Absolutely. And it worked extremely well in some of the large market cap stocks out there. What if we use this powerful information from the NYSE TICK as a filter? That's an interesting idea. So here's the question. Can we create a filter based on the NYSE TICK to show the direction we trade our strategy in, right? We may have a strategy that gives us both buy and sell signals, but we want to know, what should I be buying? Should I be a seller or a buyer? So I created another NYSE TICK indicator I called the top TICK Heatmap to serve as a filter. Here's how it works. Really, really simple. Taking the same color and creating a little bar at the bottom here. Again, I'll get to questions here at the end, guys. I just got to make sure I can cover all the slides. And then I'm just buying. If I have a green bar down at the bottom, then I'm taking the buy signals from my strategy. If I have a red bar at the bottom, I'm taking my sell signals from the strategy. So we can only take buy signals when buyers are stronger, and the bar is green. That's part of our rules here. And only take sell signals when sellers are stronger, and my bar is red at the bottom. Taking the same 20-hour period as well. I'm not optimizing the stuff. This could give our trading strategies a massive edge potentially. So I conducted some tests here to figure out, can this help us trading as a very powerful filter? So here's what I did. I took a very plain Jane momentum strategy, not optimized, just kind of grabbed it off the shelf, and I did two tests. Can we test the momentum strategy taking all the buy and sell signals all the time, not pretending to know which way we should be either buying or selling, what direction we should be trading in? And then I applied the top tick filter, again, using a powerful red-green information to tell us which direction we should be trading in. So here are the results from the past 36 months from some markets. So this is just a simple chart showing you all the signals, right? Now, we wouldn't actually trade this way, so don't worry about that, right? Don't focus on that. But this is saying, okay, we're going to take all the buy and sell signals that come in us. We're not going to assume that we know the direction of the market in the first test. And so I applied 36 months to the SPY, and here's the results I got. It was down $1,471. Not so surprising there. It's not a very good indicator to trade all the time, in every market condition. So then what I did is I said, okay, let me apply this powerful filter and only trade, on the buy side of it's green or on the sell side of it's red. And going back for 3 years, all of a sudden we've gone from negative $1,400 to positive $8,000 in the results. So that was really encouraging to me because it told me this information could potentially be used as a very powerful edge. What about for the Dow Jones Industrial Average? Going back for the last 36 months, I'll do a side-by-side here. You can see, surprisingly, every trading signal made, if we took all the signals, made about $2,400. But if we use a powerful filter based on, we'll call it TICK Heatmap, we made almost 10,000. So we were up, many-fold what we would have made if we just taken all the signals with no filter. What about the QQQ? So I'm just going through this because we're limited on time here. Side-by-side comparison. Interestingly, QQQ is still profitable with all signals right around $3,000. And with the filter, it was almost up $8,000. So the filter was still extremely helpful in giving us an advantage in knowing which way to trade. And I said, okay, what if it works well in the indices? What about individual stock? Would this filter help us with Amazon stock, for example? So I applied the momentum strategy, well, taking all the signals here in the left chart. We made about 35,000 over the past 3 years. With the filter, it made 120,000. So massive, just much more profits, if you will, if we use this powerful filter to tell us what direction we should be trading in for the market. With the top tick heat map filter, you can trade on the side of the winning or the stronger dominant force. Is it the buyers? Are the buyers stronger? Are more people out there? There's a crowd of people who trade and invest in the stock market. Are they buying? Are there more buyers, or are they more sellers? That's the information we're using to generate this information. All right, so let me come back to live charts here in just a second. Actually, let me just hit this. I'll pop this up there and I'll show other charts if you guys want to see them. But let me throw this up here. This is the recent SPY here. It's kind of interesting. So this is just over the past couple of days and weeks, going back really the 25th of November. But you can see it's been pretty much all green as of late. With the same. This is the same 20-hour setting, by the way. So you can see here, very easy to see that the top tick tracker has been green. You can see the strong buying in the 5-minute charts has been fairly effective, and the buy signal was back on the 25th, looks like, and it's been up and away. So it's worked out really well, and this is just lately. My research study didn't include this. If I want to view the actual performance results through current, this is the equity curve that we get. So it's up 18,000 going back for, I think, about 3 years. So really still doing very well, really interesting. So if you had this information, if you will, you were trading stocks this past week, you would have seen it's green, the buyers are a lot stronger, and you would have been advised according to this top tick trader or top tick tracker, and according to what we're reading as more buying activity in the New York Stock Exchange, you would have actually been better off buying stocks, because it showed you that there's a lot more buying over the past week. And if you would have traded using this information, you would not have been selling this last week. You would have been on the buy side of things. So let me just, I'll take a few more questions here and show you a few more live charts. Let me just run through the final slides here. Tradable signals using the NYSE tick happen all the time. The top tick trader is a great strategy for stocks. You can trade options, ETFs, and stock indices as well. You can also use this tool to trade options and futures and stock index futures, not soybeans and other commodities, but stock index futures. This is still applicable to trading those as well. The top tick trader shows us when the majority of traders and investors on the New York Stock Exchange are buyers or sellers. The top tick trader helps identify the best direction to trade the stock market in. That's what it's there for, giving us a powerful edge. Now you can see the hidden clues in the stock market when the buyers or the sellers are stronger. Now, where this all came from, guys, is this was a research study, and then I had a lot of people following my videos and my members of my website asking me for this tool. So this was actually not anything I ever wanted to or was planning on creating, but we did have a number of people who wanted it, so we created it, and we made the settings super simple. It has really one setting that you want to change other than colors, and that is the aggregation period. And I have it as, I found that 5 hours and 20 hours are generally strongest settings. I actually will include a settings PDF on that as well. So this works for stocks, options, ETFs, stock indices, and stock index futures. Now futures, again, green will tell you should be on the buy side of things. Red would tell you should be on the sell side of things. We had our developers create this for TradeStation, Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, Ninja Trader 7 and 8. I didn't put that up there, but it's both for 7 and 8. eSignal and Infinity IAT. Now, this is a multi-platform license. For those of you who are asking for this, we are allowing you to actually download this for, if you have TradeStation, if you have TD Ameritrade or TOS and Ninja Trader, you can access all 3 versions for the same price point. So here's also what's included. I also created a master trading workshop, Master the Power of NYSE Tick Trading. It's on demand, available right now. The topics that cover, are NYSE Tick Define, measuring the buyers and the sellers in the stock market, top tick trading and with validated sentiment, mastering the top tick trader tracker and heat map, strategies to trade stocks and options and futures, and then key NYSE tick look back periods as well for my research. Also using the top tick heat map as a trading strategy filter, and then all designed to put the odds in your favor. So that is on-demand workshop. It's already been recorded and it's available right now. So here's the offer for those of you who are interested in the top tick indicators. So here's what you get with the bundle. The top tick trader, which is the bars, it colors your bars green or red, just like I showed you mine. So here's my, this is my real-time example on TradeStation right here. You can see it just makes it super duper simple, which is what I like. It's the top indicator that just colors my bars green or red. The top tick tracker is a little bit different. It's that indicator here at the bottom, or the middle one here. I'll circle it on the chart. And this is the one that shows you kind of the building or aggregated buying and selling visually, and it shows you the color as well. And then also the top tick heat map. Now the top tick trader at the top and the heat map are giving you the same information, but they're just giving it to you in a different indicator. So all those are included along with mastering the NYSE tick workshop. Regular price normally is $17.88 for all this. We have a special price at $447.30. You save 75%. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat box. The link is www.toptradetools.com/tick. So let me go ahead and put that in there for you guys. That is the link. That's where you save 75%. Guys, do not go to the website because you're going to overpay. We're saving you money here. So if you went to the website at Top Trade Tools and say, I'm going to buy the top tick trader, it's $497. Instead, if you go for the special promotion at this short link, www.toptradetools.com/tick, you get all three tools. You get the top tick trader, you get the top tick tracker, you get the top tick heat map, and then you get the workshop. All of those are included in the bundle for $447.30, 75% savings to you. And let me go ahead and take some questions. So you guys have been incredibly patient. Thanks for that. We just have a very tight time slot here. So let's go ahead and take some questions here. I am going to put my chart up here at the top so you guys can still see the link, and I will answer your questions. We have a lot of people here, guys, so just be patient with me as I go through these questions. So how do you establish the values? Yeah, so Robert, it's just actually we tend to keep our indicators a lot cheaper. So our tools are, if you look at the quality, our tools are designed using hedge fund. My background is in the hedge fund industry. So I can pretty much guarantee you that I believe our tools are not only higher quality, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, I'm going to believe that. But I believe that we have very competitive pricing. And not only that, just the normal price, I think it's worth it for the top tick trader. But the special bundle is something that's short-lived. So if you guys come back to me next week and say, oh, I didn't take advantage of the savings, guys, my hands are tied because it's going off the board very, very quickly. We did this as a one-time deal for the special TradeThirsty event. We love TradeThirsty, and this was actually off the board. This promo was not available yesterday. It's available today. It's not going to be available next week, guys. So just to be very clear on that. All right. Next one. Okay. Let's see. What platform does it work on? So Peter, we developed it for TradeStation, Thinkorswim, Toss, TD Ameritrade, NinjaTrader, 7 and 8, eSignal, and Infinity IAT. So those are all the platforms that allow us to develop customized indicators on. And it's really cool. Let me show you how this works. This is really cool. So when you install this in your on your platform, by the way, we're available. Our team is available to help you install it. It's essentially drawing the information in the background. So you can put your chart of your SPY up there. That's the S&P 500 ETF on your chart, and then add this indicator, and it actually goes and does a call in the background for the entire data series for the NYSE tick, which is really cool. So it's extremely powerful to do that in the background, making your life super simple. So if you look at the settings here, all you have to do is look at the look back, and you may say, okay, the look back period is the aggregation time frame. So how many bars? It depends on the time frame you're looking at. Like a 5-minute chart here in the SPY, how many price bars back do I want to look at, to aggregate my my buy and sell decisions? And I've got a PDF that's in the resource center up there that shows you the settings that we recommend, like for 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, I think 5 minute, 10 minute, 15, whatever, 30, 60. So we've got a number of different intraday time frames where we have recommended settings. So we've gone back and done the hedge fund optimizations, looked at the stability and the back test, and there's a couple of settings we like for each individual time frame, if that makes sense. So yeah, so Raja, this is not available for Fidelity. I don't think Fidelity actually allows you to have third-party developers, but it is available. I think Toss and Ninja, check out Toss and Ninja, because I believe they'll give you free access using their data. They used to with their platforms, and I think TradeStation might as well. So check out some of our listed platforms, because I think you can get access to their platform free of charge. I know Ninja does this, and then if you start trading with Ninja, for example, then that's when you start paying a little bit of a fee there. But that's what you do. That's what a lot of people do who have maybe Schwab or have Fidelity or something like that. Put up the NASDAQ. Okay, QQQ, what have you done? Let me throw that up there. So again, the cool thing about this is it doesn't matter. It's not taking the data from the QQQ. Our analytics are all coming from the NYSE tick. So you can see here, really since the 25th, it's been up, and away. So if you had this indicator last week, this is not optimized as of late. These are the same settings we talked about back in September, right? So this is telling us that the buyers are stronger than the sellers. It's been green pretty much in the last couple of days, and you would have been on the right side of the market. You're on the buy side of things. Amazon, or Apple. Let's go ahead and put Apple up there. What has it done? Now again, individual stocks are a little hit or miss with this, right? I'm not sure how. I mean, you just kind of have to do a little experimenting, but there's a number of stocks that do well. So Apple's been essentially up over the past couple of days, and let's see how it does in Apple. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the back test performance. So, it's a little bit choppy early on, but it made, over the last 36 months, made 13,000 trading Apple. So it still did pretty well with the 20-hour aggregate. So it still served as a pretty powerful, tool, either to take signals on or to use as a filter. All right, so Joe, you're asking, okay, is this a one-time download? Yeah, it's a one-time download. You own it. Yeah, and then guys, here's a great thing. Joe, it's a great question. He's asking, can I then put on 2 platforms for that price? Absolutely can. All right, that's what I'm telling you guys. We are not getting rich from this. I'm just telling you, all right? This is more or less a service for our members and our followers at Top Trade Tools. But yeah, we're not going to get rich doing this promo, guys. You're getting 3 indicators, you get the workshop, and also we're giving you a multi-platform license. So if you have TradeStation, if you have Toss, if you have Ninja 7 and 8, you get to put it on multiple platforms for the same price. And if you have any questions, shoot us an email at support@toptradetools.com. We do have a phone number as well on our site you can call, and our team will help you install it on your platform. Okay, out of all the equity curves, which perform the best? Good question, Dave. I would probably tell you for the stock indices, I think it's the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. So let me put the DIA up here. And you'll see here, just on real time here, this is the last couple of days for DIA. I think the Dow Jones is good, and I think the S&P 500 is pretty good as well. NASDAQ is pretty good, QQQ. Individual stocks, a lot of them. Just think in terms of large cap stocks that are, all the FANG stocks I think are pretty good. So let me put up, just for fun, let's put up Amazon. I showed you that earlier. So this is Amazon, which is interesting. You wouldn't think that the broad-based buying and selling on the New York Stock Exchange would necessarily help us trade Amazon, but here's the last buy signal. Last buy signal was at 1762. It's at 1815 right now. So you'd be making some nice money on that. If you view the back test here for the equity curve, it made 220,000 for 100 shares. Now it's a big stock, guys. 100 shares of Amazon that's decent money, but $220,000 of profits over the last 3 years is really, really great. I mean, so no complaints on that one, obviously. Out of all the equity curve, okay, let's see, what time frame do you recommend for trading? I would say I like the 5-minute. I just like the 5-minute time frame. Now it's not short term. That's the thing you've got to remember. I'd say 5 minutes. It's a finite aggregation period that we're looking at. So we're gathering analytics in the 5-minute period. Let me just go ahead and throw this up here. Let's see here if I can. I don't know if I've got this in my, oh yeah, okay, here we go. So format. Okay, so let me go ahead and just show you this. So this, we're not showing the tick indicator, right? We're not showing that here in the chart, but it's taking the calculations. So you can see I'll throw it up here. You can see the NYSE tick, right? And reading that, if you look at this orange indicator, in fact, I'll just go to, I wonder if I can remove those lines. I'll leave the lines there. If I just look at the orange, EKG-ish looking indicator, I can't tell that this was a buy that whole period because I see a lot of values above and below the zero line. That's the power of the top tick tracker and the tools is to give you that information. Yes. So let me show you quickly here a chart with some short signals. Let me go back. You know, what's interesting is like last, you guys remember last, yeah, here's a good example, like the fourth quarter of last year. Remember December last year? So this is just looking at the reading. It was red. So it's detecting a lot of broad-based selling, and you're talking about a big drop here, not only Amazon but the SPY and of a lot of the other ones as well. So this is a great example of a sustained big down move, a big correction of stocks, and you can see fourth quarter of last year it was red all the way, right? So it worked out really well. So it does, has potential to do well on the short side as well. Okay, guys. Okay, do we need to establish a special data feed? No, you shouldn't, Wags. This is available. If you get stock data, you should have this. This is something that's not special in my experience. Okay, what platform does this work on? TradeStation, Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade Toss, Ninja Trader 7-8, and eSignal and Infinity IAT. Okay, does this have buy signal and sell signal rules? Yes. Here's how simple it is. When the first bar turns red, you sell short. When the first bar turns green, you buy. So if I scroll this over here, we just had a buy signal recently. Here's a recent buy signal that we had. I'll scrunch it up just a little bit here. So right here, buy signal on right after the open on the 25th of November. And you can see that buyers have been in control on the New York Stock Exchange. We have a nice buy signal there. See here, does this indicator work for bonds? Rich, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, here, I'll do this for fun. Let's throw up TLT. That's the 20-year bond ETF. So I don't think so. It's not meant to. When you think about it, we're looking at broad-based stock market buying, and it's not really meant for that. And so I'm just throwing this up for fun. I don't expect this to be something. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, and this is kind of what we expect to get, because we're getting information from the stock market, right? And it's not necessarily going to help us with bonds, if that makes sense. What's interesting here is like a crude oil ETF. Somebody asked me to put that up, USO, last time, and I was shocked. I was saying, don't even think about doing those crude. There's just not a correlation there, right? But if you look at the back test, it was actually a little profitable, I think. I mean, check this out. This is crazy. So it was profitable, which I was shocked with, but I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, really, it's useful mainly for stocks like, okay, put up DIA, for example. It's giving us broad-based stock market buying and broad-based stock market selling. The kind of the net, are the buyers stronger or are the sellers stronger? Okay, so let me go ahead and wrap up with a few final questions. Don't forget, guys, I'll put the link in again, www.toptradetools.com/tick. You can use it on futures, guys, but when you do it, what I'd recommend doing is setting up 2 charts in your workspace, because the time frames are different. Futures are on Central Time, and this is on Eastern Time. So sometimes it won't match up if you try to put it in the same chart, but you can put like one chart showing the SPY, and then the next chart, you can see the color. Clearly, it's been buy all week. So if I go over here, right, I'll just show you this final. Let me see if I can modify this quickly. If I show you this on a, on one of my charts, then I can show you a, I'll put my futures contract on another. So here's one way you can do it. All right, so let me see here, and I'll wrap it up and give it back over to Jeanette. I think she's gonna be knocking on the door here. So this is the futures market. Just one second here. I'm pulling this up for you guys to look at. All right, we do this. Okay, all right. So this is the way I would look at this. So I just configured my my workspace here. So on the left side, I've got my my indicator, the top tick tracker, and the top tick trader. They're green, obviously. So if I'm looking over the right chart with my S&P 500, don't forget these are 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. markets on the left of the stock market, and the right, the futures trade 24 hours. So you got a little bit of a session mismatch and a time of the time is one Central and one's Eastern. So that mismatch, I think, to put them on separate charts, you can absolutely use the same information. So if you were looking for, which direction should I trade the futures? I mean, you have green all the way, so the buyers are stronger. So you would have been a buyer buying the futures, I would say, this past week. So that's what you want to do. How long does the offer last? I don't know. Actually, let me tell you, Jeanette's the boss here. So Jeanette, we will follow her lead. I think it's if I'm not mistaken, guys, it's probably not going to last through the weekend, if that. So maybe not even through today. So, but if Jeanette usually says if she came to us and made a request, we would usually do it. Jeanette's very influential with us. All right, the free tool is Michael is the NYSE TICK tool that's available on all platforms. So that's the one I talked about, how you can read that. It's a little subjective, but you can read that, and it is a tool that a lot of people like to trade with. So that's the one you can look at. A phone number, 859-963-3445, I believe. 859-963-3445. I think that's the phone number, but nobody's there right now. All our staff is gone. I would recommend sending an email, support@toptradetools.com. For us. So, okay, guys, thanks for coming out. I think that if I didn't get your question, guys, send us an email, support@toptradetools.com, and we will we'll make sure that we address it. So, Jeanette, thank you very much for having us today. It's always a pleasure, and I'll be rooting for Bama tomorrow.